This is day 286, the compounding value of commitment. My grandparents were married for nearly 75 years. I know for a fact that they were not all easy years. There were disappointments, disagreements, financial pressure, health problems, and seasons when living together required more patience than affection. Yet the commitment they made, without knowing what the future would bring, produced a lifetime of compounding value. That is the nature of our most important relationships. Their greatest value rarely exists at the beginning. It accumulates slowly through shared experiences, difficulties endured, forgiveness extended, and the decision to remain when leaving might have been easier. People will annoy you, they will fail you, they will disappoint you, and occasionally betray your trust. Sometimes you will misjudge a situation, but pride will make it easier for you to reject the person altogether than to admit you have been wrong. Walking away offers immediate relief. Staying, listening, forgiving, and repairing the relationship requires considerably more strength. Of course, commitment does not mean tolerating abuse, manipulation, or persistent dishonesty. Some relationships just must end. But many relationships are abandoned not because they are destructive, but because they become difficult, inconvenient, or imperfect. The harder and often more rewarding path is to remain loyal to the person you once called a friend, a spouse, a partner, or a trusted colleague. Over a long enough period, the good years will usually outweigh the difficult ones. Eventually, you may also recognize that the other person was doing exactly what you were doing, biting their tongue, extending grace, and learning to live with your faults. The best relationships I have built, and still have, all follow this pattern. Call it persistence, call it loyalty, call it forgiveness. Whatever name you give it, it is often the difference between a relationship that lasts 10 years and one that lasts 80 years. The mirage of upfront value. Modern culture encourages us to evaluate relationships as if we were shopping for a finished product. We test the waters, compare alternatives, and wait for someone who appears to offer perfect, prepackaged value. But the most valuable relationships do not arrive fully formed. Trust is built when promises are kept repeatedly. Intimacy develops through thousands of conversations. Loyalty becomes meaningful only after it has been tested. Shared history cannot be downloaded, purchased, or discovered during a first encounter. It must be created. We often make the same mistake with people that we make with ideas. We expect value before committing to the work that is required to produce it. Yet an idea has little value until someone acts on it, and a relationship has limited depth until two people invest themselves in it. The value is not merely found, it is quite literally built. The unspoken negotiation of mutual faults. Every lasting relationship involves a continuous negotiation between imperfect people. Each person brings expectations, habits, weaknesses, sensitivities, and wounds into the relationship. Healthy commitment does not require us to remain silent while resentment accumulates. It requires honest but tactful communication. It means expressing what we need while remaining willing to hear what the other person needs from us. Loyalty is not passive endurance, it is the active work of repair. It means knowing which irritation should be discussed and which should simply be forgiven. It means learning when to speak, when to listen, and when to let something go. Most importantly, it means remembering that while you are tolerating someone else's imperfections, they are almost certainly tolerating some of yours. Over time, this mutual grace becomes part of the relationship's foundation. Reinforcing that foundation. A lifelong commitment does not survive life's storms merely because two people once made a promise. That promise must be reinforced through attention to the basics, physical presence, emotional honesty, perhaps spiritual grounding, and shared responsibility, and maybe just good old-fashioned simple kindness. Strong relationships are not preserved by dramatic gestures alone. They are preserved by ordinary acts repeated for years, showing up, paying attention, apologizing, forgiving, and choosing the relationship again. My grandparents could not have known what 75 years would bring when they began. They simply chose one another and continued building from there. Stop waiting for the perfect person, the perfect conditions, or the certainty that everything will work out. When you find a relationship worthy of your commitment, choose it deliberately, tend to its foundation, do the uncomfortable work of forgiveness and growth, then allow time to create the kind of value that only commitment can compound.